Hi boys and girls, today we are going to learn about the painting process in the art room, and we're going to learn how to use tempera cakes. Our learning objective for today is I can demonstrate how to use my art supplies properly and safely. Before we get out our painting supplies, we are going to talk about some vocabulary words. We are going to discuss color mixing, color wheel, primary colors, secondary colors, light and dark, and types of paint. The first vocabulary word we are going to learn about is the color wheel. The color wheel shows us our 6 main colors in a specific order. We know this as rainbow order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. The order of colors on our color wheel is important for color mixing. First of all, our color wheel shows us primary colors and secondary colors, and it teaches us which 2 colors can be mixed together to make another color. Let's take a closer look at primary colors. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, and these 3 colors are the building blocks for color mixing. We cannot mix any other colors of paint together to make red, yellow, or blue, but we can mix these colors together, 2 at a time, to make something called secondary colors. Since we cannot make these colors, they need to be purchased at a store. The secondary colors are the colors that you get after you mix the primary colors together. Let's take a look at our color wheel again to see how we get these colors. Our color wheel shows red, orange, yellow as the first 3 colors in our order. Red plus yellow makes orange. The color wheel is helpful because red and yellow are on the outside of orange. Remember, our 3 primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. What color do you think blue plus yellow makes? What about blue plus red? See if you can figure it out by looking at your color wheel. Now we are ready to talk about our painting supplies. We are going to go through McDonald's drive-thru and get a paintbrush, paper towel, and water cup. We're going to set up our table just like this. The tempera cakes will already be on your table and the paper will get passed out to you. Tempera cakes are a type of paint that we use in the art room often. We are going to learn how to use them, but first we need to talk about how to use our paintbrush correctly. So when you get your paintbrush, you want to make sure that you are being gentle with it. It's almost like you are going to pet the paper. Feel it on your hand. The paintbrush should not be digging into your hand, and it should almost tickle you. Notice that all of my bristles are going in the same direction, and my paintbrush has a nice point to it. It should stay in this shape when I'm done using it as well. When the tempera cakes first come to you, they will more than likely be dry, unless the class before you used them. So to activate our paint, we need to get our paintbrush wet and swirl on one color 10 times to get a nice bold color. Remember that when you swirl your paintbrush on the paint, you don't have to press hard and you don't want to grind your paintbrush into the paint. The gold part of your paintbrush should never touch down to your paint. Only the bristles touch. If I want to switch colors, I need to make sure that I rinse out my paintbrush in my water cup really good. And instead of tapping my paintbrush on the side of my cup, I wipe it on the side of my cup to get rid of the excess water. Then I can switch to a different color and swirl 10 times in that color. Let's look at what happens if I only swirl my paintbrush on my paint a few times. 1, 2, Okay, do you see that it's going to be a very light color, not a very bright color? Now I'm going to show you the difference if I swirl on my yellow 10 times. It's a much brighter color. Do you remember when we talked about primary colors? Red, yellow, and blue? Let's try some color mixing. Choose 2 of the primary colors to mix together. I'm choosing red and yellow. I swirled 5 times on my red, and then I put my paintbrush on my yellow, and I swirled until it made a new color. What did it make? You can do some experimenting with color mixing, but we want to be sure that we only mix 2 colors together at one time. Now let's talk about how to clean off my yellow again. The first thing I need to do is get my paintbrush wet and swirl some water on top of my yellow to get the paint wet. Next, I take my paper towel and I fold it up, and then I wipe the orange paint off of the yellow and it goes back to new. Make sure that you are cleaning your colors out when you are done color mixing. If you need another paper towel while we are painting, you may throw your dirty paper towel in the garbage and walk back through our McDonald's drive-thru and get another paper towel. On my next paper, I am going to experiment with some crazy, curly, wavy lines. Remember, if your paintbrush runs out of paint, just dip it back in the water and swirl back on your paint, and you're good to go. Some students like to dry off their paintbrush in between mixing colors. That's okay, you can use your paper towel to dry off your colors, but remember to dip it back in the water before you put it on your paint again. Watch what happens if I start with a dry brush. When I start with a dry brush, notice that my line isn't as smooth. It's kind of crackled. This is called dry brushing. If you want your smooth line back, just dip your paintbrush in your water one time and your smooth paint will come back. We need to talk about what we do to clean up when we're all finished painting. There's an ice cream bucket in the middle of your table, and we pour our dirty water and our paintbrush in that bucket. Then we take our empty cup and our paper towel to the counter. We throw our paper towel in the garbage can and set our empty cup in the sink. I also wanted to show you what a paintbrush looks like when it has not been taken care of. I say that this paintbrush has a bad hair day. Look what happens when I paint with this paintbrush. I don't get a nice smooth line, and my line is kind of thick because all of my bristles are going in different directions. We want to make sure that we are trying to keep the point on our paintbrush instead of giving our paintbrush a bad hair day. To finish our cleanup process, we need to make sure that our painted paper goes on the drying rack and we wipe our table with a sanitizing wipe. Great job learning how to use a new art supply. I can't wait to see what you create.